you know, they said they were bringing the train back to Reading, Pennsylvania. They were going to bring train service back. Proof. Right there it is. It's back. I can't believe it. I am Joe Painter. This is What's the Story on the People Chronicles. And with me this afternoon here on Penn Street, the train is back. We're in the 300 block of Penn Street, right up from the Peanut Bar. And there's this beautiful mural being painted. It's part of the Arts on Main Street program. So Main Street, of course, is Penn Street in downtown Reading. And it is now anchored with beautiful artwork. And I happen to be sitting with the artist, Edward Williams. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I am wonderful. I am fascinated by that.
Do you have a ticket to ride?
I do. I always see, look, you want? I'll show you right here. I got my ticket to ride. That's not going to happen. Jane Runyeon is with us as well. Hi, Jane.
How are you?
I am wonderful. It is always good to see you. I'm going to ask you to go. There you go.
Hello. Better.
Jane, you've acted as the you are the art liaison to the city as this whole program was coordinated here in Reading.
That's right. We were, I guess it's been a 2-year process, and this was a National Endowment for the Arts grant. So congratulations, Edward.
Thank
That's
you.
a big deal that he was selected from over 40 artists.
Wow.
And yeah,
I didn't know
exactly. I'd have to say that both his abilities, his knowledge, and it was a train. So, you know, that really was something that all of the committees were excited about because that is sort of the symbol of our city. Besides, you know, pretzels and...
And very astute on his part because I assume, not knowing, that when these murals were being designed in Arts on Main Street, perhaps the committee said, we want a train, and that's not the case. Edward, no. You said you could have painted flamingos.
Correct. I was the one that came up with the idea for the train. And part of it was the architectural bump out of the wall kind of gave me the feeling of an elevated surface, and I said, well, why not, in my mind, thinking put a train on a bridge.
Yeah, but the trestle bridge is right there.
Correct. And I know Reading has a huge history, you know, transporting coal and using the railroad to do so.
So that afforded the opportunity for depth in your mural?
Yes.
You do a number of murals. That's one of your fortes. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I know sometimes you volunteer to do murals for nonprofit organizations. And this isn't the first train you've done.
Correct. I live in Catonsville, Maryland, and there's a lot of murals that I've done there. And it's funny how the public is fascinated with transportation because a number of them have an old trolley in it that used to come out from Baltimore. And then there's an old short line railroad train that used to come out to Baltimore as well. And I've incorporated a number of these into murals in that area.
Fascinated by it, and as we struggle with our infrastructure here in the country, it is often discussed in many municipalities to bring the train service back as a means of more efficient transportation. So it's nostalgic and maybe looking into the future at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great public transportation thing that we should consider re-looking at again.
I want to consider looking at this. I mean, that mural's huge, as you can see, I believe, in the whole set. It covers the entire wall of the building. We are on Penn Street between 3rd and 4th. And when we walked down here, Gami and I came down, we were looking at the mural and wondering how it was being painted, part of one of the wheels, because it's not a wheel on a train. And how do you hone in on this very tiny area in such a big picture and get your dimensions right?
Well, a couple things. One is the wall was in pretty terrible shape before we did anything, so we had to hire a guy separately to scrape all the old ivy that was growing on the wall off, repair the stucco finish on the wall, and then base coat it before I even showed up to do what I do. Now, the texture on the wall is very heavy. It's almost like painting on sandpaper in a way. Like, it's very rough. So there's only so much detail you can do. Like, you can't really paint a fine-edged line, so you have to kind of accept things the way they are. But from a distance, it all kind of fills in your mind.
By not painting all that detail, does it afford the illusion of motion?
Yes, a little bit, because it has that soft edge to it. You know, the edges are very soft, so it feels like it could be in motion, yes. And the details are there, but they're just not refined in the sense, like if somebody that knows about tank engines of this train will come by and they'll say, yeah, I see where the pipes and the valves and the levers are, but it might not be like perfectly painted in. It's there.
It's interesting you talk about those details. Did you research that?
Yes.
Before you drew this picture?
Yes, I researched it, yes.
Tell me about that process. How does that work?
Well, Patricia from the city of Reading, her and I talked a lot on the phone about making sure all the historic accuracies are there for the train. So we both did some independent research and we shared notes.
And how long did it take you? I mean, Jane had said this is about a 2-year process from the Arts on Main Street to fruition, where you are making the mural as we speak. How long did it take you to come up with the design? I assume you sketched it out first and then you make it to size.
Well, I think it was maybe in December when the open call went out for artists to bid on the project. And there was probably 5 or 6 locations around the city. So I bid on 3 or 4 of them, I can't remember, around, within a block or 2 of this area. So the one with the train is the one they picked. I had designed other ones for this area as well.
Oh, for different locations?
Yes. One was a photography studio, another was a bakery that's like 2 blocks away.
That is one of the interesting elements in that, as an artist, the location actually helps to identify what would be an image that would work really well there.
Right.
So one of the things that, of course, the committee goes, that is very clever and wonderful. We also knew that this wall was in terrible shape. So there's the aspect of urban renewal within this as well.
Right.
And this is really the wall we had hoped that we could get, because when you're leaving Reading, you're going to see this. It's going to be incredibly beautiful. And you're going to want to go, hoot, hoot.
One more time, I got to ask no.
No, I don't think so.
The other cool thing is, during the week I've been here, is how many people come by like consistently and say, great job, thumbs up,
Oh, yeah?
It's nice to see the community starting to look nice. So a visual like this, a public visual, this and the lighted sculpture down the street, helps give people pride in their community and makes them feel good about it. Yeah.
It certainly does. It makes the city more inviting. So we're at between 3rd and 4th, and then the other artwork anchor is between 6th and 7th, right by the railroad tracks, in fact, right, Jane?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a different kind of artwork. What is that?
That's a sculptural piece with LED lighting that is really 24-hour, and it's done by, I guess, the amount of sun that's out there. So that the lights, so say there's a really cold
it's solar powered?
day, the timer is.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that if it's a really cold gray day in December, actually the lights will come on, which is really
That's pretty cool.
advanced, fabulous technology. Very different project. They also, Owens and Crawley actually are at the museum right now as well. So they've spent a little bit more time in town and with us discussing their project. But Edwards was, in some ways, there's a lot of prep ahead of time, but once here, we've been leaving you alone mostly. Mostly.
Till now.
Till now.
And that was the end of that. Owens and Crawley are the artists who worked. In fact, one is a science and technology or science and math teacher, I believe. And that exhibit is at the museum, I think, through December 16th. And you mentioned other places you proposed a mural in other buildings. Will there be more, or in the selection process, did we just choose 2 locations, Jane?
We just chose these 2 projects for this particular grant.
What does that mean for not only any Main Street, but to be able to put beautiful artwork like this, anchoring the Main Street or Penn Street in Reading? What does it mean for the city?
Well, I think Edward covered that very clearly. It really gives us pride looking towards the future. We do care about this city. We desperately care about this city. Mm-hmm. It is the hub of Berks County, and that's where we all meet, and it still has such an interesting, diverse background. So to say we care enough to make sure that we have these beautiful spots that make us feel good about who we are, hugely important.
No doubt about that. And we've been watching this come alive. So how many days have you been at it so far?
It's Monday, so this is day 4.
You have
actual production
this,
days.
and when do you expect it will be completed?
Hopefully by the end of tomorrow, depending on how long this interview goes.
Well, we're here for 2
we're
days,
just gonna keep
so I don't know.
The other thing I was going to mention about the community part is what's cool about this is that when people start seeing visual changes like this going up, that other merchants along the street will start taking action too, to say, they're doing something nice. It's an upbeat project. I'm going to do something to my storefront too. So it kind of grows from
motivator.
Yes, it kind of grows in a positive way.
Have you seen in other cities where you've done murals that change in process and then come to fruition?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
That is wonderful. So speaking of motivators, what motivates you?
Well, I'm motivated by wanting to paint large, and I'm motivated by the community input, being out in the community and painting, because I will take sometimes volunteers. That's how I met one of my assistants, Jamie Rosier, who's been helping me. He happened to come along like 3 or 4 years ago. I was painting a mural, and he stayed for like 2 or 3 days and helped me paint. And then
he's still here?
And he's still here. I haven't let him go.
Hang on. No, so he was painting up on the lift. Correct. When I came here, and I was looking at him, assuming that was you, and then you came up behind me and said, "Hi, I'm Edward." I was like, "Well, wait a minute."
That's my double.
So you draw it, and then you don't necessarily paint the entire thing.
Well, particularly the train engine part with all the detail, we create a grid system, so have like a blue chalk snap line. Okay. So we do a foot grid system, so every foot, and then on paper we have an every inch, so it just gets scaled up to that from 1 inch to 1 foot. I
appreciate that explanation because it's fascinating to me how you get. It's math, it's not magical. I get it. So you are a professional and full-time artist, and you have a studio where?
In Catonsville, Maryland.
And the name is?
The Studio 33, and that's thestudio33.com.
So if you like this, you'll find more of his work at thestudio33.com. And thank you, Jane, very, very much for giving of your time and energy to bring this to fruition. And I know it wasn't solely you, it was a committee, but you have an extensive background in art and an accomplished artist that we are all proud of to say. She's from Reading. And so to lend your talents to this is much appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And
My
thank
pleasure.
You, Edward. Really great.
I'd like to say thank you to the city of Reading. I mean, it's been wonderful being here and painting. I really enjoy it.
We're glad you came. Come see the painting and then go have lunch at the Peanut Bar. You've been doing that, I understand.
It's my nightly routine.
Appreciate it. And there you have it. That's What's the Story? And it's all about the murals and art on Main Street here in Reading, PA.
Want to know more about who's doing what in Berks County? Check out the stories on thepeoplechronicles.com.
These community stories are made possible in part by BCTV, Susie Ray Design, Queen City Family Restaurant, Lamar Advertising, Heidelberg Family Restaurant, Reading Air, Lions and Hole, Peanut Bar, and Kutztown University.